you guys. Charlotte here. How's it going? Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing? Happy, what day are we? Tuesday. How's your week going so far? Did you guys have a good weekend? How was your weekend? Any good plans? We had a pretty full weekend. We had our niece's birthday party on Saturday, and then we had all of the kids with us this weekend, so it was a pretty full weekend. So that was great to all be together under the same roof, so that was amazing. We are in Fort McMurray, Alberta this week, so we had a little bit of driving to do yesterday, and we made it here safe and sound. Actually, the roads were really awesome, so that was really good. And I am coming to you from my hotel room, from the hotel bed. So if this is a little wobbly, I apologize, because I have my laptop kind of balanced on some pillows. So if it's a little wobbly, I apologize. Hope you guys are having an awesome week. If you are catching me live, please say hi so that I know that you're there and I can say hi back to you. And if you are watching this on the replay, please hashtag replay so that I can say hi to you too. I always love it when you guys take a moment to watch me. I never take it for granted. I love interacting with you guys and kind of seeing what you guys are up to and saying hi. So if you are watching this, please say hi. And if you're catching this on the replay, please hashtag replay so that I can say hi to you too. So I have a question for you. How happy are you? If you had to rate your happiness on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate your happiness as? You know, if 1 was kind of like absolutely miserable, like the worst your life could be, and 10 being the most amazing, blissful state, what would your happiness be on a scale of 1 to 10? Because if you are like most people, you might have certain conditions that your happiness is based on. So if you had to think of something that would make you really happy, you might say, well, when this happens, I'll be really happy. And when this happens, I'll be really happy. And a lot of people are like that, aren't they? It's kind of like their happiness is completely conditional. Their happiness is completely based upon something happening to them or for them, or somebody doing something. And essentially, the problem with that is that you're actually putting conditions upon your happiness. And that means that you are actually making somebody else solely responsible for your happiness. So it might be the delivery guy, it might be the mailman, it might be when you lose weight, it might be when you find a partner, it could be anything. But a lot of us, what we tend to do if we're not careful is make our happiness the sole responsibility of somebody else, or based upon something happening. And when we do that, that means that our happiness is conditional. So it means that the conditions have to be exactly right for us to actually be happy. They have to be in a specific, in a set way, or look a specific way for us to actually be happy. And here's what I've realized with that. There will always be something. There will always be something. So whether it is, I'll be happy when I meet somebody, and then you meet someone, it'll be something else. Or I'll be happy when I lose 10 pounds. Well, I lose 10 pounds, well, then I'll be happy when I've got this. And I have been so guilty for doing that in the past. In fact, I look back now over my life, and I've actually been really guilty for that. Like, I'll be happy when I meet somebody. I'll be happy when I lose 10 pounds. I'll be happy when I get my degree. I'll be happy when I'm in the career of my choice. I'll be happy when I emigrate to Canada. I'll be happy when this happens. I'll be happy when. And I placed my entire happiness on a set of conditions that I had to meet, or that had to be fulfilled in my life for me to actually be happy. And here's the thing I've realized. when you make your happiness conditional, you actually eliminate the ability to be happy at all. Because it doesn't encourage you to be thankful for what you do have and to look around you and go, wow, like, isn't this amazing? Don't I have this and I have that and I've got so much to be thankful for? What you actually do is you actually completely eliminate your ability to be happy, because the circumstances will never be right. You're always looking for the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And when something is conditional, you actually make it this extreme level of perfection in your life that even if it does happen, it won't quite be right, or there'll be something missing. So you're actually completely coming from this place of lack and this place of really never being able to be fulfilled and never being able to be happy, because the conditions will never be right. And when you do get that thing that you want, there'll be something else. And I have been so guilty for this. Like, hands up if that's you. Put both my hands in the air. Like, that is me. I have been so guilty of that in the past. That was a narrative that I would regularly adopt in my life and not even realize that I've adopted it in my life. When I have this, I'll be happy. When I have this, I'll be happy. When this happens, I'll be happy. But here's the danger in that. Not only will I be happy, but I'll somehow be complete. Life will be complete. I'll be fulfilled. And so until that point, I can't be happy, I can't be whole, I can't be fulfilled. And that's a really dangerous place to get in, because you're ultimately, as I say, you're ultimately making somebody else the you're making somebody else solely responsible for your happiness. And you are taking yourself completely out of the equation when you are actually the most important part of the equation, because you and only you have the power and the ability to make you happy. So the key to unbridled happiness, the key to really being truly happy, is to be happy no matter what. So to be happy no matter what the circumstances are, to be happy and thrive whether the condition that you want happens or not. And that doesn't mean to say that when that condition happens, it won't make you happy. That's not a bad thing. It's not bad for you to want something, and it's not bad for you to think, that will make me really happy, because that's a desire that you want, and there's nothing wrong in having desires. But the danger is when you make your happiness completely pivotal on that one thing. And if that one thing doesn't happen, then it means that you cannot be happy. And so the key is to decide to be happy no matter what the circumstances are, because being happy is actually a decision. Like, being happy is something that we have to decide to do. Usually what happens, if you look at a baby is pretty much happy all of the time. Yes, there are times when, it's crying and maybe it needs its diaper changed and, that kind of thing. But for the most part, babies are happy all of the time. Children are happy a lot of the time. But what happens is, as we get older, we allow our external influences, external environment, external situations, to start to actually dictate whether or not we are happy. And that conditional happiness starts from a very, very young age. Mom, can I have this? Mom, can I have that? Oh, but Mom, this is so amazing. Mom, I'll be so happy when I get this. Right from a really, really young age. So the key to true happiness is to decide to be happy no matter what, and to make that decision, because being happy is actually a decision, and you have to be intentional in deciding to be happy. You have to be intentional in looking for things to be happy about. You have to be intentional in seeing things to be thankful for, and you have to be intentional in feeling it. You actually get to decide how you feel. You actually get to create that feeling too. And that isn't by focusing on the negative. And I just want to add that doesn't mean that you pretend that life is a bed of roses and that nothing bad is happening in your life. That's not what it's about. It's about actually recognizing the good stuff that happens. Hey, Jaina! It's actually about recognizing the good stuff that happens in your life and being thankful for that, because you actually have the power to create the kind of environment that you want to live in, the kind of energy that you want to be surrounded with. You actually have the ability and the power to create that by being intentional in creating it in yourself first. So being happy is a decision, and it's a decision that you have to make every day. You have to decide when you wake up that you want to be happy. You have to decide when you wake up what you are going to give your energy to, and what you're not going to give your energy to. And be intentional in creating the feelings that make you feel good, that keep you in that kind of receiving mode where you're feeling good and all the good stuff can kind of come into your life. And actually look for the good, because good stuff happens all the time. All the time, all the way around you. Good stuff happens all the time. But for the most part, we fail to recognize it because we're looking for the milestones. Like you go into the supermarket and they have, all of a sudden, actually this happened to me the other day, they have reduced the price of your protein powder that you always buy. That's a good thing. You check in at a hotel and they say, we're going to give you a free upgrade. That's a good thing. Somebody says thank you to you. That's a good thing. And there are so many other little things that we take for granted. And the key is to actually look for the things that are good, to look for the things that make you feel happy, to see it, and to actually be intentional in creating the environment where you feel happy, because you can create your happiness. Doesn't mean that bad things or terrible things or negative things won't happen. It doesn't mean that you just pretend and you live in denial about the things that are negative that are happening. It's about creating a state within your inner being and within your environment where you can thrive and feel good and be happy and focus on the things that you enjoy, that bring you happiness. So like I said, you have to wake up and decide to be happy. Every day you have to wake up and decide to be happy. So I want to give you an example from my own life. So some mornings, our youngest daughter, I love her to bits, wakes up in a really, really grumpy mood. And sometimes she comes home from school in a really grumpy mood. And anybody that's ever human can, or anybody who's anybody, if you're a human, you can resonate with this. Everybody's been grumpy. Everybody's woken up grumpy. Everybody's come home grumpy. Everybody's had periods of time where stuff is not feeling right for them. And so for her, sometimes, she gets up and she is really, really grumpy. Or, she's whiny, or, she complains about everything. Like, the lid is constantly flipped. And as much as we love her to death, and we do, and we work with that every day, sometimes it can be hard, and it can be frustrating, and you can think to yourself, oh my God, what can we not just have one day where this is not happening? And everybody has those days, and we give that person, we give them grace and just say, okay, well, everybody has that day. But the point is, I was finding, for me, it was triggering me. It was putting me in a bad mood. It was frustrating me. And that was impacting how I was showing up. And I realized one day, I cannot control what happens with her. I can only control me. And this is the thing in life. The only person that you can actually control is yourself. You are the only person that you can control. And so while I can't stop what is happening there, I can't stop that behavior from her, and sometimes it takes a while to get the lid reattached and for her to kind of be feeling good again, I can actually control what I do, and I can decide whether or not I'm going to feed off of that, or whether or not I'm actually going to short circuit my brain and override the old narratives of maybe getting annoyed or cheesed off, and think different thoughts and realize, there is a whole narrative that she has, and that's why she behaves that way. But I don't need to feed off of that. That doesn't need to project onto me. And I can do things that make me feel good, because I can decide to be happy no matter what. Whether she's in a good mood, a grumpy mood, I can be happy no matter what. And so very often what will happen is we will see negative experiences as bad because they're undesirable. So we will look at something and classify it as, okay, it's undesirable, it's negative, don't want that in my life, it's bad. And what do we try to do? We either run from it, or we are blue in the face about how we don't want something. But here's the problem with that. Guess what happens when you do that? You actually invite more of that into your life. By focusing on it, by talking about it to your blue in the face. It doesn't change it, but what it does is it just invites more of that into your life, because it just keeps that as the focus of your as your focal point. So the key is to not pretend that it's not there, because you're not living in denial, but just to focus on something else. Not let that be your key focal point. But also to recognize that undesirable situations aren't always negative, because what they actually do, they actually serve a really great purpose, is they help to recalibrate you, because we're always recalibrating. We're always kind of coming into alignment with our desires and what we want. And a negative situation, all it really does is highlight to you specifically what you want, right? And I sometimes think of, certain things in my life, in my world. I think, I really don't want that. I don't want that to happen. Well, what would solve that? Well, if we did this, it would solve that. Great. That has just given me a focal point, has recalibrated me and given me something, given me an answer and made me realize this is what I do want. So that's what I'm going to focus on, having, what I actually want, so you can actually be thankful even for the challenges. And the key really is to be grateful and be thankful for what you do have. There was this great phrase I remember hearing years ago, and it was, instead of dwelling on the challenges, of which everybody has a few, dwell on the blessings, of which everybody has many. And it's so true. You might be looking at your life right now and you might be saying to yourself, I don't really have anything in my life to be overly thankful for. It's not necessarily bad, but it's, not amazing. But I'm willing to bet that if you stopped and every day you took note of, again, you come back to looking for it, seeing it, feeling it, took note of the good stuff that does happen for you, the good stuff that happens on a daily basis, minute by minute, moment by moment for you, you'd realize, wow, there is so much to be thankful for. And it takes practice, because automatically we, as we get older, are sometimes programmed to look for the negative. So it takes practice. But when you really stop and you look around you, you realize actually there's a lot to be thankful for. And so it's actually being thankful for what you have, thankful for what's coming, and even thankful for the contrast, because the contrast serves as one way of recalibrating you towards what you do want, And that's something you can be thankful for. And the more thankful you are, the more gratitude you have, the higher that raises your vibration, and the better, no, the better it makes you feel, and the more you feel good, the more you can attract the stuff that you do want into your life. So the secret really is to true happiness is to come off of autopilot, because autopilot is kind of like the death of purpose, living on purpose, being in your relationship on purpose, with intention, building your business on purpose with intention. Autopilot can serve you in some ways. It can allow you things that you don't really need to think about. It can actually allow you kind of time to, let your mind wander. Like sometimes if I am cleaning, I don't need to think really in detail about what I'm doing, because I know what I'm doing. I've done it a million times. So I can actually allow my mind to wander and think about some of the things I do want. But autopilot can work against you when you don't stop and take note. You don't stop and smell the roses. You kind of just go about your life on autopilot, in your relationships, in your personal growth, at work, in your career, in your business. That can actually be the death of happiness. So the key to true happiness is come off of autopilot. If you catch yourself on autopilot and you're like, okay, I'm just slipping back into old ways, do something different. That's the quickest way to come off of autopilot. Do something different. It starts with, I love this, a friend of mine suggested this, starts with brushing your teeth with the other hand. Because when you're doing it, you're having to think about doing it, which means you're being intentional in what you're doing. So if you know there's areas of your life where you are just on autopilot, come off of autopilot. Do something different. Take a different route to work. I suggest to a friend that you try something that you've never done before. Read a different kind of book. Just anything. Anything that gets you off of autopilot. But the secret to happiness is that you've got to decide to be happy. You've got to decide to be happy no matter what. You've got to choose to be happy. You've got to decide from the moment you wake up that today is going to be a good day. And you've got to embrace the contrast, because when you embrace the contrast, it's not focusing on it, but it's saying, you know what, this is not a bad thing, because it's actually giving me a more refined vision of what I do want. But here's the underlying thing, and this is what I want to leave you with tonight. Here is the underlying thing. The secret to true happiness is to know that life, no matter what, will always work out for you. Everything has a habit of working itself out. And when you live with the understanding that everything works out for you, no matter what, that there is a purpose in all things, then you can be happy no matter what the circumstances. You can take off the conditions, remove the conditions, and be happy no matter what. That is the key to complete and utter true happiness. Be intentional. Know and believe to the core of who you are that life always works out. And tell yourself that. Every time you slip back into an old mindset, tell yourself, no, life always works out for me. Tell yourself that. And decide to be happy no matter what. That is the key. That's the secret. Decide to be happy no matter what, because life really does have a way of working out in the most perfect, amazing way. I hope you guys enjoyed that tonight. I love you. Thank you for watching, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.